The One Piece fandom rarely agrees unanimously on anything, but Whitebeard's Gura Gura no Mi is considered by everybody to be the strongest Paramecia devil fruit in the One Piece world. The Marines feared it, the pirates respected it, but what if I told you that a current supernova has an ability that can surpass it? Who could it be? Well, my guess is none other than Eustass Captain Kidd. Well, hello everybody, my name is Atlas and today I'd like to have a discussion full of speculation and theories about Eustass Kidd and how he might become the next Yonko after Wano. I'd also like to talk about the potential that his powers can reach if Oda really chooses to hype him up in a big way. We've had previous characters in popular series that have very similar powers to Kidd, and let me tell you something, the way they get strong is just insane. So we will talk about all of this exciting stuff in this video, but first let me tell you guys what Oda has said in the past about Kidd. So back in an interview in 2017 for the One Piece magazine, Oda said, and I quote, "They are the worst. They are the worst generation indeed. I imagined Kidd would become an important character, but Law, I did not imagine he would become such an important character. Weekly serialization is a wonderland," end quote. So right here, Oda said that he had plans, or he could imagine how Kidd would become such an important character, and we all had a similar feeling honestly back in Shibuya when he was first introduced. But then Law came off left field and just became this hugely successful character who scored amazingly in popularity polls in Japan as well as in the West. And my guess is that Oda listened to his fans and saw the huge reaction for Law, so he just kept writing more and more important storylines for him to be a part of. But as a lot of fans in the community feel right now, Law's character arc could be ending very soon. And this could be the topic of a whole other video because there's just a lot to unpack with Law right now. But the bottom line here is that if Law is out of the equation shortly after Wano or during Wano, then Kidd can take his spot as the other prominent supernova we follow closely as the story moves along. Okay, so now that we established that possibility, let's talk about Kidd as a character. Well, he had a great introduction back in Shibuya, and he was established very quickly as the supernova to keep in mind. His bounty was higher than Luffy's, and his accomplishments and ruthlessness I think were also ahead of Luffy back then. 2 years after those events, the top super rookie definitely had some less than stellar moments in Grand Line. He lost his arm fighting Shanks, then got defeated, then captured by Kaido. Now, I don't consider these moments to have completely ruined the character of Kidd, because let's face it, no supernova would have fared any better facing monsters like Shanks and Kaido. We also know that great characters like Whitebeard, Big Mom, Kaido all had step backs early in their career, especially with the Rocks Pirate. So I don't think that Kidd is this stained character or this failure. No, I just think that he's paying his dues, and by the time he gets his power up, he will become as strong as these characters. Because let's remember here, Luffy is spearheading the worst generation of pirates. He won't just replace one Yonko or become the pirate king and then that's it. For this whole generation to have the impact that it's being hyped for, we need to replace the Yonkos. We need a whole new slate of powerful characters that will etch their names in the history of the One Piece world. So who better than Eustass Kidd to be one of those Yonko, to be one of those great characters that represent this new generation, this new era that will usher a great war against the world government. But I am not pushing any agendas here. Kid is not one of my personal favorites. I like the character, I'm just not like this huge fan. I'm trying to stay objective because I feel like those losses against Kaido and Shanks have impacted the fans' perception of him quite a bit. For me, what I think hurts Kid as a character is the growing gap between him and Luffy that got widened by a lot in terms of bounty and strength, at least for the time being, unless Oda flips the table by the end of Wano and showcases Kid to his true potential and how powerful he can be. Because trust me, he can get really strong if Oda wants him to be. His fruit is one of the most special fruits in the story so far, and in this video we will go over some potential power-ups that Kid could enjoy that would really hype up the community and make him not only one of the most badass characters in the story so far, but also one of the strongest. So let's talk about some of these crazy power-ups that Kid could be having soon. In order to do that, let's analyze one of the most popular supervillains in comic book history. Of course, I'm talking about none other than Magneto of the X-Men storyline. And one of the most popular powers that he has is flight. Magnetic flight, to be more accurate. So he just connects himself to the magnetic field of the planet. By doing that, he can repel himself against all metals in the surface of the planet, which makes him capable of flight and even supersonic speeds. Now, if Kid is capable of flying, that would help him tremendously fighting off against Kaido in his dragon form, or Big Mom when she's riding on Zeus. The second power I'm going to talk about is manipulating the iron in people's bloodstreams. Now, this power could lead him to bend blood the same way as we have seen in Avatar, in case you've watched that show. So he would be able to cut off the bloodstream to the brain or to the heart and be able to cause strokes for his enemies. This would look like what Darth Vader does in the Star Wars movies, where he chokes people with the Force. So just imagine Kid in that pose, enjoying the torture that he is inflicting upon some poor soul until their death. I think that would look badass and would fit Kid's personality a lot. The third power I would like to talk about is invisibility and light manipulation. As you know, light rays are attracted to the magnetic field of the Earth. And if Kid can control that field, then he can control where light would land, which would make him invisible, because then he can repel the light from reflecting his body to other eyes. This also could mean that scientifically he is the perfect match against Kizaru. He would be able to keep him in his human form, he won't be able to use his devil fruit, and their fight will turn into a good old 1 versus 1 mano a mano battle with haki and all that stuff. So I think that if Oda knows about these things, then he could be setting up Kid to take on Kizaru by endgame One Piece in the final war. Kid would also be able to liquefy metal, probably infuse haki into it. But enough about these types of power, let's go to planetary devastation levels of powers. And it's for these following powers that I claim that Kid's devil fruit could be as strong, if not stronger, than Whitebeard's. So let's think about this as gears, Luffy's gears. Each gear, he gets a better understanding of his fruit, he uses it in a more efficient way, he can infuse haki into it, and let's assume Kid can follow that same progression Luffy had. Then his second level would be able to manipulate electromagnetic fields, which would increase his powers immensely. He would then not be able to just control and ride on magnetic fields, but control his own. And that could increase his perception haki and even introduce him to future sight, because he would have a sense of where anybody who stepped into his field is. So this would be the defensive way or defense-oriented use of his power. Now let's talk about attack. If Kid can control electromagnetic fields, then he can shoot blasts, either with electric shock or just a huge heavy boost that would feel like the wind knocking out his opponents. The next level to this, which would be his gear 3rd or 4th, would be sub-atom manipulation, which is the same concept as nuclear power. So using his magnetic field, he would be able to split atoms and cause even bigger blasts and more destruction on his path. Now just imagine Kid being able to have nuclear levels of power. Wouldn't that be badass? Wouldn't it be worth of a Yonko level character? Couldn't it reach Whitebeard's levels of powers? I think it could. I truly think it could. I really see Kid being able to be this legendary Yonko that the generation after this will look at the same way this generation looks at Whitebeard or Kaido, both of whom are just insanely powerful and have great legacies. But with the way the story is progressing and how Oda is hyping up the worst generation of pirates, I feel like the current crews right now, the characters we grew up watching, could end up having greater legacies and even be more powerful than the previous era. I fully expect Luffy to be greater than Goldie Roger. Not necessarily more powerful, but we don't even know Roger's power by now. So yes, Luffy could be more powerful. I'd believe it, I'd buy it. I also fully expect Zoro to surpass Mihawk and be stronger than he ever was. And following the same pattern of logic, I wouldn't be surprised or shocked to see that the new Yonko could be even more powerful and have greater legacies than the old ones. And of course, this is no disrespect to Whitebeard or Kaido or Big Mom. I just expect the crews that we grew up watching to have an extreme payoff by the end. I expect Law to have an amazing character arc, Kid to be this powerful monster with insane feats and a long-lasting legacy, the same way Luffy will probably end up king of the pirates and one of the most important figures in the One Piece world. So a lot of exciting things, a lot of hype. I hope that I could excite you about Kid's character and will make you more invested in his journey and adventures in Wano alongside Luffy. I think it will be very, very interesting, and I really hope Oda powers him up, man. Boost him, and let's see what a Yonko level Kid would look like. That would be very, very interesting. So see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.